The Titans fall to the Jets in the home opener 24-17. What went wrong for the Titans? What are some bright spots? What are we drinking to this week? And what are some silver linings? We're going to break down this game now. This is the Music City Audible. Let's get to it. Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible podcast presented by Broadway Sports Media in partnership with 440 Sports. I'm Justin Graver. With me, as always, Justin Melo and Justin. For the second straight game, the Titans lose by a score of 24-17. Disappointing heartbreaker here. Another game the Titans got up to a lead. They scored the first touchdown for the second straight week, but they cannot hold on. How's it going, Justin? How are you feeling after an 0-2 start to the season?
Doing well, I guess. It's a tough start to the year. It's a tough loss, to be honest with you. 0-2, it's a really bad place to be. I didn't think they played a good game. I've got a lot of thoughts, a lot of questions that are starting to creep into my evaluation a little bit. I know it's early. You're trying not to overreact, but 0-2 is a really bad place to be, and there are some things that are completely inexcusable. And I've got some questions. I hope I get a chance to bring them up and ask about them here today.
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with where things, obviously, I think let's start with the worst play of the game for the Titans because it was the biggest talking point to me. Will Levis, again, with a boneheaded turnover and a mistake that Brian Callahan called inexcusable in his post-game press conference, which I think is a very good word to describe it. Let's talk about what happened on that play. But first, let me remind everyone watching, if it's your first time tuning in, we appreciate you listening on audio, but find us on YouTube at the Music City Audible podcast. We are very thankful for all the YouTube viewers. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and turn on alerts so you get a notification every time we drop a new video. And drop a comment below. How disappointed are you with the Titans' 0-2 start? Is there any hope left in your heart as a fan for this team for the rest of the season? Because it is still very early in the season, Justin. That's something I want to talk about when we get to silver linings here in a bit, is that it is still, it's only 2 games. Obviously, 0-2 is not where you want to be after 2 games, but it is just 2 games. And also remind everyone, this episode is brought to you by Sinkers Beverages in East Nashville. Sinkers Beverages will present us with a segment in a little bit called I'll Drink to That. And yes, there were some things in this game that we can drink to. But back to the Will Levis fumble. So the Titans are leading the game. They put it together a nice touchdown drive. They are on the verge of potentially going up 2 scores or at least going up 10-0 with a field goal if they can just cap off this drive. And on 3rd and goal, Will Levis, under pressure, for whatever reason, does not eat the sack. This is another one of those situations, just like last week when he threw the pick 6, is just eat the sack and save the possession, and either on that play last week, punt the ball away and set your defense up with good field position, or in this case, literally the turnover takes points off the board. But for some reason, Will Levis does not eat the sack. He's trying to make a play happen. He sees Tony Pollard there in the backfield with him, and he tries to pitch it to him. Now look, if this is a forward pass, little dump off, where you're trying to escape trouble and make something happen, of course, throw the little short dump off. But if the ball is traveling backwards, Justin, you cannot do this on 3rd and goal.
It was ridiculous. It was comical, especially with the mistake last week, right? I don't know how you could have that mistake last week and go do almost the same thing this week, right? Very similar to a sense where you're getting again. I asked the same question I asked last week, and last week's was slightly worse because it's like the worst thing you could ever do. It was only slightly worse, but I asked the same question that I asked last week. What is the upside? It is right. 3rd and goal. Do you think he was about to make 6? How many guys do you have in front of him? 7, 8 defenders? Is he going to make them all miss and score a touchdown? What is the upside? There's none, right? It's the risk versus reward. And it's just mind-blowing. And it was nice to see. I tweeted out the clip, Brian Callahan, because I have a hard time getting a read on him. He's still a football coach, so he's got that fire in him to a degree. But he's come off pretty nice, I think, a lot of times. So I think you can kind of question whether, how much fire there is or the personality is all I mean. Not fire, but the personality. And he storms on it. He goes, "What the F are you doing?"
Yeah.
He says, and he was pissed. And you saw another soundbite a little later where he kind of comes close to throwing off his headset. He yells an F word once again. And it's the right reaction to it. It's just mind-blowingly stupid.
Yeah, it is mind-blowingly stupid. And that's the thing that you have to wonder is, like, can Will Levis go the course of a game? Because he showed a lot of flashes in this game, just like he did in his rookie year, of being that guy. And when we talk again about the context of the 0-2 start, we all came into this season saying, It'd be great if this team wins a bunch of games, but that's not the expectation, and it's hardly even the goal. Obviously, the goal is to always win. But the real goal for this team, for this season as a team, was to just find out if Will Levis can be the guy. And through 2 weeks so far, I think the answer is still maybe, but maybe leaning towards no because of these boneheaded plays. So, yes, he played 45-ish great minutes of football today. Maybe not great, but really good minutes of football. And then he had a handful of plays that are just like, you cannot do that. And this was 100% one of them. Brian Callahan was very fired up in the postgame press conference talking about this play. I mentioned he called it inexcusable. He was talking like, I mean, you should go listen to it for yourself, but he said he went on, he had like a 30-second answer where he's just talking about how pissed off in the moment he was at Will Levis and how he doesn't know what he's thinking in that moment. And you're going to have to ask him what the why behind that play was, because I don't even know what it was. And he couldn't tell me in the moment. I think he was just mad about what happened. Those are Brian Callahan's words. So a pretty boneheaded play. Let's talk about the other turnover, because the other one I think was less on Will Levis. He launches it deep downfield to Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks cannot come down with the catch, and the Jets cornerback on the play went up and made a really nice play to rip the ball away from Treylon Burks. It was Eccles who's a backup cornerback playing for the injured DJ Reed, who was not active for this game. The part that's on Will Levis is you're throwing it up into double coverage. So usually good things don't happen when you throw it up into double coverage. But at the same time, it was like a huge play down the field. It's basically an arm punt. I can live with that a lot more easily if that's a third down play. This was a 1st and 10. So a 1st and 10, you do not want to launch it deep into double coverage. But at the same time, Treylon Burks goes up to make a play on this ball. And even if you don't catch it, Treylon Burks, which he could have, I mean, the ball was in a good enough spot that he could have caught it. It was slightly underthrown, but almost that kind of underthrown where it allows the receiver to come back under the defender to make a play. And he did come back over the top defender. It was the underneath defender. Like I mentioned, it's in a double coverage. Eccles, who goes up and makes the play. But Treylon Burks, even if you don't catch that ball, do not let the defender come down with the interception. Like, you got to help your quarterback out a little bit more. So is it on Will Levis? A little bit. Not the right read, but a good enough throw that it could have been a huge play. And we saw, which we'll get to in a little bit, the same type of throw pay off huge for the Titans deep into double coverage, trusting your receiver to make a play when Calvin Ridley scored that touchdown. But on this one, not the same result.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on the same page with me here, because I wasn't sure how I felt. I tweeted essentially the same thing you just said. And most people agreed with me, but a couple people disagreed. Yes, is it thrown into double coverage? That's a fact. It was. And is it underthrown? Yeah, it is a little. And that's another fact. And I mean, those two things, most times it's hard to excuse them. But Treylon Burks kind of had it. Like, he kind of had it initially. Yeah. It looks like he was the one that was going to make the play. So when you're in that position, and initially it looks like I thought he had caught it, you should have probably caught it when you initially caught it. You know what I mean? Like, it really feels like he did have a chance to make this play. I tweeted out after. Brandon Eccles is listed at 5'10", 180. Treylon Burks is listed at 6'3", 225. Okay, and I know it's not always a muscle for muscle thing, but and yes, I think the underthrow, it kind of helped Brandon Eccles get a bit better leverage on the play than ideally you would like him to have. But I really did feel like Burks, with the size advantage, the fact that he initially had it, I'd like to see him come down with it. And I posed the question online. If DeAndre Hopkins was full go, I felt like I saw a lot of Treylon Burks in this game, at least early in the first half. And I don't want to, right? Like, I think we're at that point where, if we haven't given up on Treylon Burks, I have. I'll put my hands up and say I've given up on Treylon Burks. If we haven't, you'll be there soon. You'll join me soon. If you haven't, you'll get there eventually. But I don't want to see him, unless these guys are all hurt. And if I was told on Thursday or Friday by the head coach that DeAndre Hopkins is full go. So why am I getting a heavy dose of Treylon Burks in the first half? That's something I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, that is definitely bizarre. And let's finish up this conversation with Will Levis on Will Levis here before we move to other parts of the game. But Levis did make a number of plays in this game. He had an incredible throw to Tony Pollard on a wheel route where he hit the hole between the safety and the linebacker defending Pollard. That was an excellent play. He got out of pressure a couple of times when it looked like he was dead to rights. He had a nice play early in the game where he sort of got it tugged on his shoulder pad and stepped up and stepped through it and made a nice throw. And then obviously on the final drive, he got out of pressure twice and picked up huge chunks with his legs. Those were crucial plays for the Titans offense. So he was out there being a playmaker a lot of the time. He navigated the pressure a lot better in this game outside of that fumble on 3rd and goal where he was under heavy duress. But overall, I thought he navigated the pocket a lot better than last week. He wasn't drifting left into his left tackle into the pressure on every drop back. But at the same time, so he made a number of nice throws, and we need to talk about the Calvin Ridley one, but I'm saving that for I'll drink to that. Spoiler alert. But at the same time, the drop back passing game still looks very disjointed. It almost looks like there's not much of an improvement from what we saw in the drop back passing game under the Mike Vrabel era. And that was the number one thing that I was expecting when Brian Callahan came to town, was that the passing offense would look somewhat easy, like it did for Jake Browning for long stretches during last season, like it has for Joe Burrow pretty much throughout his career. But obviously Will Levis is not the caliber of quarterback Joe Burrow is. Maybe one day he'll get there. It took Josh Allen, until his 3rd season to become a truly good player. So I'm not closing the book on Will Levis. But I will say the fact that this passing game looks as disjointed as it does, and you got guys like DeAndre Hopkins, who you just went on a rant about being full go, 1 catch for 9 yards. Tyler Boyd, 2 catches for 26 yards. Calvin Ridley had a day. Calvin Ridley had an awesome day. He could have had a 3rd touchdown if that deep ball didn't go through his hands. I think in the middle of the 3rd quarter or sometime around there. Maybe it was even later than that. But at the same time, I am still going to put most of the blame for the passing game not being where it needs to be on Will Levis, just not processing quickly enough and getting the ball out of his hands quickly enough, even if sometimes it felt like there were no open receivers in this game.
So there are a couple things I want to say about Will Levis. So I'm going to go on a bit of a longer rant here. 2 of them I forgot to say earlier, and I do want to get them in. Quickly back to the interception. By the way, it came one play offensively, one play after the boneheaded turnover. His very next play was the deep ball interception. So I don't know whether to commend the confidence or it's stupid. You know what I mean? I can't decide which one. It was 1st and 10, like you said. I want to point that out. 1st and 10 after you get a turnover and you commit another turnover, you take a deep shot into double coverage. Again, I don't know if you're confident or dumb in that situation, but fair argument. And back to being dumb, you talked about finding out this year if he's the guy or not. Let's call it exactly what it is. If he's the guy, Brian Callahan has to prove capable of coaching the stupid out of him, right? You're trying to coach the dumb plays out of him, and I don't know that you can, right? Because we'll see. TBD is what I'm saying. But the point is, I don't know how in the hell you could have that lateral after you had the pick 6 in the last game, right? You're still trying to coach the dumb out of him. It's an ongoing process, and it's not a regular dumb. It's as dumb as it gets in football terms to be making plays like that, right? You're trying to coach the dumb plays out of him. Very frustrating player he is, because let's take you to that touchdown drive in the 1st quarter, their 2nd possession after they went 3 and out. Couple of things. So they got a 2nd and 6 at one point. Or 3rd play, actually. I think it was, because the Jets had a penalty, reset the downs. 3rd play of the drive, they got a 2nd and 6. He takes the check down to Josh Wiley, 1 yard. Smart play. It was a very smart play on his part, the one you want to see him make, right? It's 3rd and 5, you give him a fighting chance, right? Great play call in the next one, Calvin Ridley. I don't know if it was a bit of an over route. They look like they got a couple of picks in there, a rub, and you get Calvin Ridley on the go. It's a big chunk gain, 15 yards, well-designed play by Callahan and his staff. Outstanding play call, moves the chains, right? Couple plays later, he's got a 1st and 10 on the Jets 31. They're already on the move. Beautiful 9-yard throw to Tyler Boyd. I think it was a slant route, if I recall correctly. It certainly went towards the middle of the field, fit that ball in well, right? There were 2 or 3 Jets defenders in that vicinity there. It's one of the best throws he made all afternoon. I'll let you cut in real quick here.
Yeah, just on that throw, I think that was, like you said, one of the best throws he made all afternoon. That was the kind of throw that gives me the confidence, or maybe not the confidence after the rest of the game, but at least the hope that Will Levis can be that guy, because that was an anticipation throw. He threw it before Tyler Boyd broke out of his stem and hit him perfectly between the numbers. Like you said, against a pretty close contested defender. That's the kind of play you need to see. Quick processing, anticipation, perfect accuracy, move the chains, good throw conversion, great play.
And then 3 plays later, they got a 2nd and 11 after Pollard stuffed for a loss of 1. And he hits Josh Wiley again near the sideline for a 12-yard gain, moves the chains on 2nd and long. And I'll say this again. That throw, to me, the Wiley throw, it's exactly what Callahan wants him to be. It was the perfect example of just taking what the defense gave him, not trying to do too much. And I mean, anytime you move the chains on 2nd and 11 through one play, you made an outstanding play. You made a very good decision on that play. And then 2 plays later, you get the end around to Calvin Ridley for the 10-yard touchdown. Like, that was an outstanding drive for Will Levis, but especially for Callahan, I thought as a play caller, right? That's what you brought him here for, the way the offense is designed. So tip of the cap to him. I've got lots of complaints coming, but tip of the cap to him on that one. And then the wheel route to Tony Pollard later in the game, as you said, just an outstanding throw, probably the best one he made all afternoon. And that's that. You said it gives you hope. It just frustrates me, to be honest with you, because the variance right now with this player, and then I mean, we're gonna move on from him. So how can I not talk about the third down? Was it the third down? The run at the end of I don't know if it was third down, but I don't think it was. But the run at the end of the game, I mean, dead to rights. I thought he was sacked and finished there. He somehow gets out of that. And I believe made it 1st and goal based on how much he picked up. That was an unbelievable. That was a Houdini type play, right? Like, that was outstanding. But I do want to move on for him. That's probably as positive as I'm going to get for this episode, because there were a lot of things that I absolutely hated about this team in this game.
Okay, well, let's move on to I'll drink to that. One last comment is just the Josh Allen comparison again, because of what you mentioned there, triggered it in my brain. The high variance. That's what Josh Allen was his first 2 seasons. Now, I'm not saying that Will Levis is going to make that jump, because it is rare, and Josh Allen is the exception. He is not the example rule. But if you are searching for something to cling to, hope-wise, that's the kind of player Josh Allen was. Absolute boneheaded turnovers and mistakes, mixed in with very high-level plays that make you say, wow. And I do think to take it down a notch and like maybe lessen the grip on that strand of hope, whatever. Josh Allen had more high level plays through his first 2 seasons. Now, this is Will Levis's 11th start, so still the jury is still out. But Josh Allen, when the highs were high, they were best quarterback in the league high, even as a second-year struggling player. When the lows were low, they were as low as where Will Levis is. So the fact that Josh Allen cleaned that part of his game up and became one of the best quarterbacks in the league is at least something to cling to if you're searching for it. All right, Justin, it's time to hit our segment sponsored by Sinkers Beverages. I'll drink to that. Cheers, my friend. I will drink to Calvin Ridley's touchdown catch. That was an unbelievable play. And Calvin Ridley's day in general. He had 4 catches for 77 yards and the incredible touchdown catch. He also had a 10-yard rushing touchdown that hit a parlay for me. That was Calvin Ridley first touchdown scorer, was one leg I needed there. So big time play by Calvin Ridley, and just a big time game for him. You mentioned the catch and run early in the game on their first touchdown drive. He did have a potential touchdown, or at the very least like a 50-yard completion, go right through his hands. It was maybe a touch too far on the throw. I'm not trying to blame Will Levis for that one. We blamed him for plenty, and we'll continue to blame him for plenty. I don't want to blame him for that one. I do think the ball could have had a little more arc to it so that it could have come down in Ridley's hands. It was a bit of a bullet that sort of went through the hands. But again, Ridley's got to catch that one. But he certainly more than made up for it with the touchdown catch. Going low to get the ball looked a lot like the A.J. Brown catch from Ryan Tannehill that set up a game-winning field goal against the Texans way back when in a Week 18 contest for the division. But that play was incredible, outstanding. You mentioned this in our chat, and I thought the same thing, so I'm going to say it and steal it from you. Live watching it for a second, I thought the ball was intercepted. And then I see Calvin Ridley stand up and hold the ball in the air, and I'm like, holy hell, how the hell did he catch that one?
It was an outstanding play by him. And you compared it earlier to the Burks one. I'm going to be a little more pessimistic. I thought this one was at least a bit more in front of him. Like, it wasn't an underthrown ball per se. It didn't look underthrown to me. So it was a bit of a better throw, but it was an outstanding effort by Calvin Ridley. And you see the difference on the effort and the ability to do that between a guy like him and a guy like Treylon Burks. That's why one's a $92 million receiver and one's a first-round bust. Right? It's really that simple. But that was an outstanding play. And I will drink to that. Might have to get a couple more drinks because I do want to get into some negative stuff.
Yep. Oh, okay. Well, let me drink to some other things first before we move on. I will drink to Harold Landry. Harold Landry is up to 3 sacks in 2 games. He had an incredible sack in this, not an incredible sack, but he had a really nice sack in this game. One that was a coverage sack, outstanding job by the secondary, allowed Harold Landry to like loop all the way around and hit Rodgers from behind. And then the other one looked exactly like the sack he had last week, where Jeffrey Simmons crashes to the outside, Landry stunts outside and then loops back to the inside. Rodgers is stepping up in the pocket thinking he's got a clear lane to step up, and bam, runs smack into Harold Landry. So I will drink to Harold Landry, and I will drink to the defense in general. Yes, they gave up 24 points, and that was a big difference in this game, was that the turnovers the Titans had in this game didn't lead directly to points for the Jets. Now, the blocked punt is an issue we're going to get to in a second. 2 blocked punts in 2 weeks is just completely inexcusable, but it happened, and that led to Jets points. But the defense, I thought overall, they played well. Like, if Breece Hall is catching a high point catch over a linebacker, I mean, guys are going to make great plays in the NFL, especially great players. And Breece Hall is a great player. Like, Kenneth Murray defended that play pretty well. Breece Hall went up and made an outstanding touchdown catch. Braylon Allen had 2 touchdowns where the one was bad. The rushing touchdown, Amani Hooker should have made that stop, and he sort of took a really bad angle and then stopped running. Like, he thought Allen was going to try to run over him instead of running through and making the tackle. But Braylon Allen is a rookie who's a huge guy, and he's got deceptive speed. And I think he sort of fooled Hooker on that one into, like, Hooker thought he was going to chase him down, and then it just like sort of ran right by him. So the defense did have their moments where they didn't make where they gave up some plays, but that's going to happen over the course of a game. Overall, though, the Jets gained 265 total yards. Like, that's not a lot of yards. 4.7 yards per play is decent, but 5 of 12 on third down, that's decent. But again, the overall defense, I thought, played pretty well. And I guess I don't know where I'm going with this, if I'm still drinking to this or what, but I just want to run through why these turnovers were so crucial. And most importantly, the blocked punt was so crucial, because the Titans outgained the Jets 300 yards to 265. More yards per play, 5.0 to 4.7. More passing yards, more rushing yards, 130 rushing yards to 101. Fewer penalties, 5 for 45 for the Titans, 7 for 70 for the Jets. Almost dead even on time of possession. Jets outpossessed the Titans by 6 seconds, so almost dead even there. There were 2 key areas where the Titans lost this game. The turnover battle, 2 turnovers for the Titans, not counting the blocked punt. If you count the blocked punt, which you almost feel like you have to, that's like 3 turnovers to 0 for the Jets. And the Titans in the red zone, 1 of 4 in the red zone. Jets 1 of 2 in the red zone. If the Titans convert 1 or 2 more of those, or Will Levis doesn't fumble the ball and they turn it over, then it's a totally different ball game. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird. I'm in a weird place with it, because at the same time, like, the turnovers didn't lead directly to points. The blocked punt did, but the turnovers didn't lead directly to points. They were way down on the other end of the field. So it's kind of a weird spot to be in.
Was the punt on the blocked punt? Well, that was in Titans territory, was it not?
Yeah, the blocked punt was. I'm talking about the fumble and the interception were in Jets territory. Gotcha. Yeah. But the blocked punt was, the Jets took over the ball at the Tennessee 30-yard line after the blocked punt.
I count that as a turnover to a degree, so that's why I'm in my mind. But I want to talk about the blocked punt a little bit. I mean, first of all,
so are we done?
By 7.
You want to talk about the blocked punt, but are we done drinking?
I think we are.
All right, then I need to tell everyone about Sinkers Beverages. Thanks for sponsoring this segment. I'll drink to that. Sinkers Beverages is the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville, serving the community since 1985. Their knowledgeable staff is proud to help you with large parties, themed events, or finding something unique for a special occasion. From birthday parties to milestone celebrations to everyday moments, Sinkers can help with the right drink for every occasion. And if you head to the sinkersbeverages.com website or check the link in this podcast description, you can join the In Crowd. In Crowd members get access to allocated wines and spirits, exclusive events, early access to barrel releases, and more. Plus, Sinkers Beverages is on Uber Eats. All right, Justin, you want to talk more about the blocked punt? I don't have much else to discuss. So you want to do the blocked punt? We can hit silver linings and get out of here if that's cool with you.
Yeah, I mean, the blocked punt, I think for me, it's just, it's inexcusable, obviously, right? To have 2 in a row, 2 weeks in a row, it's just mind-blowing, okay? And a couple things. It looked like Julius Chestnut just got beat on that play, right? And last week it was Jack Gibbons just got beat on that play. I'm not going to pretend I'm an outstanding expert in special teams play. I don't know that anyone is, if you're a fanalist, if you will. Who's an expert in special teams play if you don't coach special teams, right? Let's be honest. But I thought it was horrendous. First of all, they became the first team to have that happen in each of the first 2 games since 2012. So it's been more than a decade, right? 12 years since that's happened in the NFL.
Wow.
And it's mind blowing, right? It's totally mind blowing. I'm really starting to wonder, and I posed this question way back when, I think, but the Colt Anderson hire as special teams coordinator, okay? Brian Callahan was hired in January, right? Late January-ish. He appoints the coordinators in early February, okay? And the special teams job doesn't get awarded until 2 weeks after the OC and DC are named. 2 weeks after, okay? I'm pretty sure I posed this question then. I don't have a lot of confidence that he filled that spot with conviction. I don't have a lot of confidence that he felt great about that spot. If it was going to take that long to fill that spot, how come it went to someone he already knew, right? Someone he coached with in Cincinnati last year, okay? I don't know that process went as well as he thought it was going to go. I don't know if his inexperience might have played a role, but it took him a long time to fill that spot to hire someone he already knew. And through 2 weeks, they've had 2 blocked punts. They've been the worst team in the NFL on special teams. And it goes beyond the blocked punts. They're not good in the kickoff game. They're bad at covering them. They had a 67-yard kickoff last week they gave to the Bears. They're not good returning them. They're not good blocking in either phase. They are very, very bad on special teams, the worst team in the NFL, bar none, through 2 weeks. I got serious questions about how they filled that spot. And honestly, look, everyone's in love with this coaching staff. It's early. It's fine. I'm not making any rash statements here. But, and the Will Levis thing might be on Will Levis. Maybe you can't coach the dumb out of him, the dumb play out of him. But 2 weeks in a row, I mean, you got to put some of this on the staff. Hey, you have a blocked punt 2 weeks in a row and a turnover like that 2 weeks in a row, right? Like, you've got to improve every single week. You got to fix. I think Paul Kaharski posed a question on Twitter, like, almost unfathomable that you'd have another blocked punt and another boneheaded turnover the exact same fashion you had last week. It doesn't make sense. So it's on the staff to fix those things. And those mistakes in week 1 were so damn big. They shouldn't happen again, let alone another week, like 1 week later, right? Like, it's just mind blowing that we're dealing with that. And there are some other things I'm low on. I know we're going to, we're going to cut this one probably a little short, but the offensive line continues to look pretty poor. I think maybe it wasn't as bad as it was last week, but pass protection was not good. When the official metrics, the stats, all the analytics come out, I'm going to guess that Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit-Frere did really poorly in this game. Very poorly.
They did. I can tell you from... Yeah, I could just tell you from watching on the TV copy that Dylan Radins got beat up the middle multiple times.
Yeah,
NPF.
Gave up a hold when he got beat.
Yeah, NPF. The one thing you cannot do on the third and goal from the 7-8 yard line is give up a sack. And Will Levis can't take a sack there, but Will McDonald gets his 3rd sack of the game in less than 2 seconds, completely abuses NPF on the right side. That was a game-winning play for the Jets and a game-losing play for Nicholas Petit-Frere. I mean, you set up 4th and goal from the 14-yard line. How are you going to convert that? Sure, a miracle can happen, but man, that one made me want to pull my hair out.
It's really easy to defend 4th and goal from the 14-yard line when you need a touchdown. He was terrible in this game. Let's put it into context too. When Jermaine Johnson left this game with what looks like a season-ending injury. Remember, we talked about the pass rush before going into this game on the preview. Braden McGregor, a 7th-round rookie, a UDFA, a Jalen Holmes, a practice squad call-up, and Will McDonald, a sophomore first-rounder that they showed no faith in last year, right? He barely played. He was a deep rotational guy. They're leaning on him a bit more this year, frankly, only because they've got the Hassan Reddick disaster, and then Jermaine Johnson goes down. He has not proven to be a great football player. He's not proven to be a worthy first-round pick. 3 sacks in this game because why? Because NPF is a bad right tackle. J.C. Latham's still going through his bumps and bruises. Peter Skoronski wasn't great in this game again either. I don't think he had a hold penalty, a costly one in my opinion.
He did, but he
got whistled for a penalty. All the investments on the O-line, they have not seen the return on investment through 2 weeks. Not yet. Yeah. And that right side that you hoped was going to, just not kill them. Maybe it's not killing them. It's pretty damn close to killing them. I'd say the unit as a whole is well below average through 2 weeks, well below average. One of the worst in the NFL, to be frank. It's no better than 25th, I'm going to guess, through 2 weeks. You can look up every metric you want, especially in pass pro. They're 25th at best, probably even worse than that. So the right side was really, really bad today.
Yeah, I'll push back just a little bit. I think Skoronski did have some down moments, but he also had some great moments. And Cushenberry, too, had that hold. But also, Cushenberry and Skoronski were out way down the field blocking on one of the most explosive run plays the Titans had of the day. So there was ups and downs. I will say this is a great way to segue into our final segment, Silver Linings. So some silver linings to me here are that it is we're 2 weeks into the season, and that's it. And a lot can change over the course of a year. You do not want to be playing your best football in week 2. You want to be playing your worst football in week 2. And you want to get better as the season goes on. Now, if you're a great team, your worst football is probably still pretty good. The Titans' worst football is having punts blocked, making the most boneheaded turnovers ever, and having defense that is not clutch enough to seal the game. And it's asking a lot of the defense. You basically are putting it on their backs to go win you the game, and they haven't been able to do quite enough. But they've looked good enough to win if they can get some more support from the offense. So that's where I'm at. Just to put the 0-2 start into context. Looking across the league, the Baltimore Ravens are 0-2, a team with Super Bowl aspirations coming into this season. Now, the Baltimore Ravens have had a different schedule. They played a very good Kansas City Chiefs team in week 1, but they just lost to the Raiders, who maybe the Raiders will be better than we think, but I don't think the Raiders are better than we think. I think the Ravens are just struggling right now because it's early in the year. Looking even closer to home in the division, the Colts, Titans, and Jags are all 0-2. The Texans play later tonight. We're recording this right after the Titans game, so obviously Sunday Night Football has not happened yet. But the Bears have a very legitimate defense. I think the Texans will win this game. I think they're a better team, but it wouldn't shock me if the Texans come out of this week 1-1 and the Titans are tied.
Beat the crap out of them.
Hey, we'll see. That Bears defense is legit. The Bears defense is legit. Their offense is going to struggle, but their defense is legit. So we'll see. Even if the Houston Texans win and go up to 2-0, the other teams in the division are all 0-2, and it's only week 2. The Titans coming up on their schedule next week, they play Malik Willis. Now, Malik Willis had a decent game today. They did everything they could to take the ball out of his hands. Josh Jacobs had 31 carries for the Packers, and they beat the Colts, which helps the Titans. But now the Titans get to play Malik Willis and the Packers. That's a much easier matchup than playing against Aaron Rodgers, who, if the Titans played against a bad quarterback today who wasn't pinpointing that pass to Breece Hall down in the end zone and stuff like that, the Titans probably win this game against a lesser quarterback based on how the defense played. So you got Malik Willis next week. The week after that, you got Skylar Thompson, most likely, for the Dolphins. The week after that, you get the Colts, who are struggling right now, and like I said, also 0-2. A very winnable game. Quarterbacks that are not going to be great. I think the Titans defense is going to eat their lunch just like they did to Caleb Williams. So, Justin, if we fast forward 3 weeks and the Titans are 3-2 going into a matchup with the Bills, how much better do you feel about this team? Now, granted, a lot has to go right for this to happen, but I'm just saying schedule-wise, how much better are you feeling if the Titans are 3-2 after week 5?
I'll feel a lot better, but I'm not buying that it's going to happen. I just... Malik Willis, I'm sure I didn't watch the game, did everything to take the ball out of his hands, but 12 of 14 with 127 QB ratings, pretty impressive with a touchdown and no turnovers, by the way. I think
agreed. He played a clean game.
He also had 41 rushing yards, 150 for Josh Jacobs, 32 carries, as you said. Green Bay Packers are a good team. They're a good football team. They got a great defense. It seemed Matt LaFleur clearly knew what was necessary to do today to get the ball out of Willis's hands and not have him lose the game for him, right? So I don't think the Titans are going to have an easy time with the Packers next week. Wouldn't shock me if the Packers win that game.
I agree with that.
They lose that game at home to Malik Willis.
That would be, and I agree that it's not going to be easy, but Anthony Richardson, 3 interceptions, I should say, in this game that definitely helped out the Packers.
We can trust Will Levis to take care of the ball.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As this is as important as it's been for Will Levis to take care of the football these last 2 games, and he didn't. Hopefully these are the wake-up calls he needs because he is going to have to take care of it. You cannot give Malik Willis any easy opportunities. You got to make life as hard on him as possible. We'll get into a Green Bay Packers preview. But anyway, the silver lining is that the upcoming schedule does not look that rough. And the final thing is about the offensive line. It's 2 weeks with 4 new starters on the line, with a new offensive line coach in a new system. You got to give them time to gel. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe the Titans will be picking a right tackle in the first round next April. Maybe they'll be picking an edge rusher. Maybe they'll be picking a wide receiver. But at this point in time, maybe they'll be picking a quarterback. But at this point in time, I feel like right tackle is probably the biggest need on offense. And but maybe by week 12, that's not the case. So there's a lot of football left to play. You look at all the teams that were doing great at this time last year and collapsed down the stretch. You want to be the opposite of that. If you're going to have a collapse, you want it to be weeks 1 and 2, which it has certainly been for the Titans. So not ideal, but not the end of the world, and definitely not the end of the season. We never thought this was better than a 8 or 9 win team at best. And that's still certainly on the table. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. Any final words before we sign off, Justin?
Yeah, my fear is it's a lot worse than that. I'll be blunt with you, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. But temper expectations, 8-9 win team. My fear is it's a lot lower than that. 17 points in back-to-back games. Still waiting for this offensive scheme and this offense to explode in this new age of Titans offensive football. They're going to score 30. Haven't even sniffed 20 yet through 2 weeks. So still waiting for that to happen. But we'll be back, as you said, a couple days from now to preview the Packers game. We got a great guest coming on to preview that one. Looking forward to diving into how Malik Willis did. And but quickly, actually, the special teams. I'm sorry, I know we're getting out of here, but the special teams thing real quick. Remember when I said keeping Hassan Haskins does more for this team than keeping Julius Chestnut? In our 53-man roster projection, everyone wanted Chestnut over Haskins. Who got beat on the punt block? It was Julius Chestnut, and he's doing so much for this offense as the number 3 running back. I'm glad they kept him instead of a good special teams player. Just going to leave it at that.
All right, well, that'll do it for this one. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks even more if you're watching on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, like, turn on channel alerts so you get a notification every time we drop a new video, and drop a comment below. Where are you at with the Titans? What is your panic level out of 10 heading into next week against the Green Bay Packers? We will be back, as you said, Justin, next week to preview that game. But until then, you all stay safe out there and tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.